From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8. Now the latest news. Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, June 14th. Less humid today with highs in the 80s over most of Indiana. Nice summer day. Tomorrow is when we really feel that comfortable air move in with more spring-like temperatures in our future. And now a man is in serious condition after a hit and run on the west side of Indianapolis happened on Morris Street near High School Road just before midnight. IMPD says a man was working security and trying to block off traffic so a broken water main could be worked on. Officers tell us he was trying to get a car to slow down, and according to police, the driver hit the man, then took off. Right now, we don't have a description of the vehicle that left the scene. A federal judge is calling a lawsuit filed by a group of employees at a Houston hospital false and irrelevant. They were fighting the hospital's COVID-19 vaccine mandate. So this comes after they claimed the vaccines were experimental and dangerous. Now, the hospital can require its staff to be vaccinated. IU Health employees protested the health system's similar mandate this weekend. That protest was downtown Indianapolis near IU Health buildings. It was attended and organized by employees with similar thoughts to those in Houston about the vaccine. And in Houston, 178 employees were suspended last week without pay over their refusal to get vaccinated. Of them, 117 sued, seeking to overturn the requirement and over their suspension. They also threatened termination. A U.S. federal judge ruled Saturday that the lawsuit had no merit and that it was reprehensible to compare the vaccination requirement to the Nazis' forced medical experimentation on concentration camp captives. The CEO of the hospital system announced that 27 of the 178 suspended employees received their first of 2 vaccine doses. They would not be fired if they got their second shot. But registered nurse Jennifer Bridges, who filed the lawsuit, says the fight is not over.
It's really only the beginning. We are going to be appealing this and taking this up. And ultimately, I very well feel this case is going to go up to the Supreme Court. So we're just starting things out at this moment.
IU Health employees claimed over the weekend the reluctance comes from the short time the vaccine has been around, the lack of long-term studies, and the push by employers to get one or face the consequences. Community Health Network employees are also now required to get the COVID-19 vaccine. So far, more than 60% of the company's 16,000 employees got their shots. The company says exemptions for the COVID-19 vaccine will be made for religious and medical reasons. As of now, an online petition against IU Health's effort has more than 11,000 signatures. They declined to comment in regards to the protests. Both IU Health and Community have a deadline of September 15th to be fully vaccinated. And this week, Indiana University will host a Zoom webinar about what students, faculty, and staff can expect when it comes to the campus vaccination requirements. A member of IU's COVID-19 response team will take questions about the shot requirement and exemption process. As we've reported, the school is requiring students and staff to get vaccinated, but proof of vaccination is not required. The virtual Q&A is scheduled for Wednesday at noon. And this morning, we're returning from the first weekend with loosened pandemic restrictions in Marion County. News 8's Demi Johnson spoke with business owners about their first nearly full-speed weekend.
It's the calm after the storm.
It was really awesome. It's great to see everybody back downtown again.
A maskless Marion County got its first shot at some normalcy over the weekend. People who were vaccinated could ditch the face coverings and businesses up the capacity.
People were dancing on the sidewalks, and having people come in without their mask on, was seeing smiles and jubilated faces was pretty amazing.
Owner of the Whistle Stop and Stadium Tavern, Rob Strong, says not having the same rules as surrounding counties has been tough on businesses.
I'm obviously not in the government business, but I am in the bar business and restaurant business, and it's great to see them finally starting to lift the things that they needed to lift up. You know, the whole I can go to Johnson County or Hendricks County and not have to wear a mask.
People downtown agreed.
It's nice to get together with people and go out and enjoy, normal life again.
I think it's wonderful that we finally don't have to cover up half of our faces when we're communicating with other people.
And for this kid, communication is key.
We're not muffled anymore, and it's way better.
Business owners say things are looking up. They hope that only continues in the coming weeks.
Let's go for 100%. Let's do it. We can obviously handle it. Numbers are down. Everybody's getting their vaccines. Let's go.
That was Demi Johnson reporting. And more hands-on activities return to the Children's Museum from COVID-related closures. The Fantasy Treehouse and Winner's Circle photo op are set to reopen in the Sports Legend experience. The museum says the football tackle dummies and crash pad will still not be available. Now inside, the All Aboard Train exhibit, Beyond Spaceship Earth, National Geographic Treasures of the Earth, American Pop, and Fireworks of Glass all open again today. The museum says the rest of the exhibits will open by the end of the month. And President Joe Biden is in Brussels. Today, the NATO Summit gets underway. The president was greeted by an honor guard as he landed in the Belgian capital. The NATO Summit comes on the heels of 3 days of meetings for the group of 7 nations. John Lawrence reports the president is focusing on reviving relationships around the globe.
President Joe Biden with a clear message to the world. The only way to face global threats is to join forces.
I conveyed to each of my G7 counterparts that the United States is going to do our part. America is back at the table.
That sentiment was applauded by other leaders, including French President Emmanuel Macron.
What we need is cooperation, and I think it's great to have the U.S. president part of the club and very willing to cooperate.
During the 3-day summit, the G7 pledged to support a global minimum tax, a transition to clean energy, and to contribute at least 1 billion COVID-19 vaccines to the rest of the world.
A week ago, I asked my fellow leaders to help in preparing and providing the doses we need to vaccinate the whole world by the end of 2022.
The leaders are also calling for a new probe into the origins of COVID-19 after a previous report was considered lacking due to China's refusal to cooperate.
We have to build a system whereby we can know when we see another lack of transparency might produce another another pandemic.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
And more revelations about Justice Department digging into private data records of Washington insiders. The New York Times reports the DOJ ordered Apple to turn over information about Don McGahn and his wife while McGahn was a White House counsel. The Times says the subpoena was in 2018 and McGahn was notified about it last month. The story builds on the reporting of last week that revealed Justice Department access to Democratic Representatives Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell. Former Attorneys General Jeff Sessions and William Barr both have denied knowing about the subpoenas.
How could it be that there could be an investigation of other members in the other branch of government and the press and the rest too? Mm-hmm. And the attorneys general did not know?
The Senate has called for a review of the situation. Pelosi once won in the House as well. Israel has a new prime minister. Naftali Bennett won Parliament's approval by one single vote to oust Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu's most recent reign in the role lasted 12 years, the longest of any prime minister in the country. Netanyahu is promising a return to politics.
We'll be back soon.
The Prime Minister in Israel must be able to say no to the President of the US in topics that are threats to our existence.
And President Biden is sharing his interest in working with the new prime minister. During a phone call, the two spoke about focusing on peace, security, and prosperity for both Israelis and Palestinians. And this morning, we're waiting to learn the name of a man who drowned in a private lake in DeKalb County. It happened yesterday afternoon at Indian Springs Campground north of Fort Wayne. Conservation officers say a 30-year-old man went under the water while swimming. Divers found him about 2 hours later. Authorities are not releasing his name until they can notify family members. And a sports-related show of support for a family of one of the victims of the mass shooting at the FedEx facility. Matthew Alexander played baseball for Avon High School. The Avon Police Department learned he was a big fan of the St. Louis Cardinals, so officers gave his family a jersey with his number on it, signed by Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith. The department also delivered a letter from the team and a jersey from the Indianapolis Indians. Alexander was one of 8 people killed while at work in April. His family has since started the Matt Alexander Memorial Baseball Scholarship in his memory. And cities across the nation are on edge following 4 mass shootings this weekend alone. The latest shootings happened in Savannah, Georgia, Austin, Texas, and Cleveland, Ohio. Overnight, we learned that the mass shooting in Austin has turned deadly. That brings the total number of people killed in the 3 cities to 5. 24 people are injured as of right now. One council member in Savannah says that city is trying to find a way to manage the violence.
I'm broken right now because I'm trying to figure out what do we do. So my conversation is for my police chief and our city manager. How do we fix this? Because right now I need answers, and I have to answer to all of these residents who we told them that we're going to protect you.
A 4th weekend shooting happened in Chicago on Saturday morning. 1 person was killed and 9 injured. The number of mass shootings in the U.S. is 40% higher than it was at this time in 2020. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been a total of 272 mass shootings so far in 2021. There were 194 by this time last year. Indiana is also seeing a rise in mass shootings. The Gun Violence Archive reports 9 mass shootings so far in the state in 2021. 6 of those happened in Indianapolis. In 2020, the archive reports 7 mass shootings in Indiana, 5 of which happened in Indianapolis. And airlines are seeing a rise in unruly passengers as more people begin to travel. A Delta Airlines flight was forced to make an emergency landing Friday after an off-duty flight attendant caused chaos. Polo Sandoval explains the recent scenarios are making for a rough summer in the skies.
It's shaping up to be a rough summer in the skies. A Friday Atlanta-bound Delta Airlines flight became the latest to be interrupted by an unruly passenger. That problem passenger was one of the airline's own flight attendants, flying off-duty at the time, according to a Delta spokesman. Witnesses on board reported he commandeered the aircraft's intercom and told them to prepare to use their oxygen masks, triggering a clash between him, the crew, and some of his fellow passengers. One witness told CNN he feared the worst during the very tense encounter.
People behind me were saying, well, that's really bad. I mean, that only happens when a plane goes down. I prayed that God would protect my family in case I was gone.
On Thursday night, a separate Delta flight from LA to New York was also diverted after what was described by the airline as a customer issue on board. Stop this plane. On June 4th, a third Delta flight, this one from LA to Nashville, was forced to make an emergency landing after a passenger tried breaching the cockpit door, according to authorities. Delta is not alone. Crews from American and Southwest Airlines have been among those recently subjected to belligerent passengers. And in at least one case, physical abuse from troublesome travelers. In May, the head of the Federal Aviation Administration said he's worried as these kinds of air rage incidents seem to be repeating themselves.
This dangerous behavior can distract, disrupt, and threaten crew members' safety functions. And as a former airline captain, it's extremely concerning to me.
The spokesperson for the agency says that it's received at least 2,900 reports of unruly behavior by passengers this year. 2,200 of them have been related to noncompliance with the federal mandate requiring masks on public transportation, planes included. The spike in bad onboard behavior prompted the FAA to extend a zero-tolerance policy.
Are you serious?
The spokesperson says enforcement action has been started in over 36 cases already. Question now, will it get even more unfriendly in disguise with a busy summer travel season on the horizon?
And police in Fishers are asking parents to keep their teenagers out of the Edge parking garage. The garage is near 116th and Lantern Road. Police shared a video on social media saying that there have been close to 100 people at a time hanging out in the parking garage. They say people are causing a lot of damage.
If you're a teenager or if you have a teenager, we would like to encourage you to hang out somewhere else this summer. There's been thousands of dollars worth of damage and tons of hours of officers' time spent in the parking garage trying to keep it safe.
And Fishers police say they've also received calls about people doing drugs and drinking in the parking garage. And Hollywood is remembering a longtime actor who passed away. Ned Beatty's manager announced yesterday that he died of natural causes. Beatty is best known for his roles in Deliverance, Network, and Superman. He was also a Broadway actor, as well as the voice behind Lotso Bear in Toy Story 3. Star Trek series actor Robert Beltran shared a tweet remembering Beatty. He says the legendary actor performed brilliantly in some of his favorite films. Comedian Patton Oswalt remembered Beatty as great in some of his most noteworthy movies, saying, "The primal forces of nature have come to collect Ned Beatty." And a late night winner is announced in the 145th annual Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. A Pekingese named Wasabi is best in show. The judge announced the champion just before 11 last night. Wasabi is the 5th Pekingese to win in the competition's history. The dog's handler says Canine Champ would get filet mignon to celebrate. A dog from Indianapolis comes home without a trophy. We introduced you to Buster, a Great Pyrenees on Daybreak earlier this month. Talked about him here on the podcast. A Samoyed ended up being top dog in the working dog category. And the road to Tokyo ends for Olympic champion and local favorite David Badaya. He did not qualify for the U.S. diving team. It would have marked his 4th Olympic Games. Badaya is a Purdue alum and is supporting the incoming Boilermaker freshman who bested him. They hugged it out after the competition. Now, Tyler Downs earned the top spot in the 3-meter springboard to make the cut for his first Olympic Games. Purdue alum Brandon Lachavo will also represent Team USA in Tokyo. IU also has some reason to cheer. Senior Andrew Capobianco qualified on the springboard both as an individual and as a synchronized team with IU grad Mike Hickson. And a local 7-year-old is spending summer break helping others. Rayanne Lloyd is putting together backpacks filled with things like pajamas, toothbrushes, and crafts for children in foster care. Her mom says the inspiration came from reading an article about a Girl Scout troop doing something similar. Her daughter has raised more than $2,700 for her cause. And some of the first backpacks were dropped off at the Community Hospital Anderson Sexual Assault Treatment Center.
These backpacks provide lots of good stuff that will make that child feel more comfortable in a really awful situation that they're in. Even though they're going to be loved, there's that void, and mommy or daddy aren't there, and so this is gonna help them.
So far, Lloyd has delivered 78 backpacks. And today, a collection drive launches to make sure kids are ready for the classroom. The Indy Backpack Attack provides supplies to IPS and mayor-sponsored charter schools in the area. Organizers say they collect an average of more than 200,000 supplies each year. They're taking donations now through July 19th. You can also drop off supplies at Indiana members' credit union branches, or you can donate money online. And finally, to business headlines. Talking about gas prices, the average U.S. price of regular grade gasoline rose 2 cents to $3.13 per gallon over the past 3 weeks. Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg Survey says crude oil prices rose more during the same period, but these hikes weren't passed on to gasoline consumers. The price at the pump was 95 cents higher in the June 11th survey than it was a year ago. In Central Indiana, AAA says the current average is $3.02 a gallon. It was $2.07 a gallon in June of 2020. A new study finds that remote work reduces productivity. The study, which surveyed the remote work habits of 10,000 employees at an Asian technology company between April of 2019 and August of 2020, found a 20% decrease in output. The study found that although the workers spent 30% more time working from home, their productivity fell as they spent more time in meetings with their bosses to constantly outline their responsibilities. Diners may be seeing substitutions on menus as inflation continues to send food prices soaring. Industry experts tell Fox Business that meat prices continue to rise. Restaurateurs are especially feeling the heat as their food costs continue to climb, particularly after the JBS Foods hack, which is expected to temporarily pause around the country. Wells Fargo is trying to become a bigger competitor in the credit card space. It's launching its new Active Cash card in July. It has no annual fee, offers a 2% cash back on purchases, a $200 welcome bonus if you spend $1,000 in the first 3 months from the date your account is opened. And National Park Arches in Utah reaches capacity and closes its gate to visitors most days before 9 a.m., because its parking lots are full. Those who can't get in often head to Canyonlands, a traditionally less popular park, more than 4 times the size of Arches. Canyonlands has seen its own visits jump 30% in April 2021 from April 2019. Lines to enter can stretch up to 2 hours during peak visitation times. Funding for the national parks hasn't increased in proportion to visitation. Between 2011 and 2019, the National Park Service lost 16% of its staffing capacity, while at the same time witnessing a 17% increase in visitation. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway, online at wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling.
Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast.
The News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.